Jan, over to you. We look very excited to hear all about the Spekboom and especially to taste it.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for the very nice introduction here. I don't know if I'm such a big YouTube sensation yet, but I'm hoping to get there one day. And yes, today we're going to talk about Spekboom, and the botanical name for that is Portulacaria afra. So you don't have to remember that, it's not very important. And Spekboom is one of the indigenous plants of South Africa, and it occurs in the Eastern Cape, in places like the Edo Elephant Park, where it is one of the staple diets for the elephants. And the elephant can eat up to 200 kilograms of Spekboom per day. So while we're talking about elephants, and you've got this picture in the back of your head that you're going to get yourself a pet elephant at home, remember you have to plant a lot of Spekboom in order to feed one elephant, okay? So maybe it's not such a good idea getting that elephant. So there are a couple of varieties of Spekboom available. This one is the edible variety. Here's a bit of a bigger plant, and you get other ones that are cascading. They've even got smaller leaves. I don't have one yet, but in the next stand here at Garden Shop, you can see those. They've got them there. And then a lot of people confuse the jade plant with Spekboom because the leaves look similar to that of a Spekboom. You get a couple of varieties of those. They grow fairly big, and people confuse those plants with Spekboom. Now, Spekboom is edible. Jade plant is not edible. Don't try and eat that because it won't be a good idea. Has any one of you seen a Spekboom flower? Never. Have you seen it make fruit? Never. Can I show you a Spekboom with fruit on it? You know what the common name, or if you translate Spekboom directly into English, what do they call it? A bacon tree. Has no one ever seen a bacon tree bearing fruit? Can I show you one? This is what a bacon tree looks like when it bears fruit. So you're welcome afterwards to come and taste what bacon fruit tastes like. That was just a bit of fun. They don't normally wear bacon, right? So don't wait for your Spekboom to bear bacon. It's not going to happen. Okay. All right. I think the first thing we want to do is maybe give you a little bit more information on Spekboom. And like I've said, it grows in the Eastern Cape. It's endemic in the Eastern Cape. And who knows what the difference is between indigenous and endemic? Who can explain that to me? That's correct. There's a nice coffee mug for you for participating. And the answer is indigenous is, it's indigenous in South Africa, so it grows in South Africa only. But endemic means it grows in a certain area of South Africa. So let's say, for instance, it only grows in the Eastern Cape, or it only grows in the Western Cape, like fynbos. So that's the difference between indigenous and endemic. So a lot of this past week there was a concern of someone. The guy said people must stop planting Spekboom in between fynbos, and it can be a problem because a Spekboom can grow up to 5 meters high and about 1.5 meters wide, 1.2 to 1.5 meters wide. So it does become a very big plant. So if you plant it in amongst other plants which in general grows very small, and you don't control it, it can get out of hand and it can grow into a big plant. Because it doesn't really flower and make seeds, it can't seed itself. The only way to propagate it is by taking cuttings and rooting them. So it's not a plant that will become invasive. It doesn't have a lot of natural enemies. So Spekboom doesn't really have pests and disease and so on. The biggest concern with Spekboom in the Highveld, Pretoria, Johannesburg area is overwatering, because these plants don't like too much water. So you might come get you a Spekboom one day and it's all wobbly and it falls over because the root system rotted because of too much water. So does anyone here know or can guess how old the Spekboom can get? Does anyone want to take a guess? Again? 30 years? 100 years? Anybody else? Sir, here's a coffee mug for you. 200 years. Spekboom can get up to 200 years old. Thank you very much for participating. So, if you plant a spekboom, you can be guaranteed that it's going to outlive you, because none of us are going to age to the age of 200. Thank God. So, if we look at the benefits of spekboom, I think one of the greatest benefits is this is the plant that can absorb the most carbon dioxide and convert it into oxygen. So we need oxygen to inhale, and we exhale carbon dioxide, and the plant takes the carbon dioxide and it converts it back into oxygen. So a fully grown spekboom, 5 meters tall, say 1.2 meters wide, can absorb in the area of about 8 kilograms of carbon dioxide per year and transform that into 8 kilograms of oxygen in 1 year. So if you plant 10 of these, then it means that 80 kilograms of carbon dioxide can be absorbed and converted into oxygen in 1 year's time. This plant also contains a lot of vitamin C. It's high in vitamin C, and if you're a bunny hugger like me and you don't want to kill animals, this plant, kilogram for kilogram, it contains more omega-3 fatty acids than salmon. So if you don't like eating meat or don't like eating fish and you still need to get your omega-3 fatty acids in, you can use this plant. This plant can be used in, you can take the leaves off, you can put it in smoothies, you can put it in a mixed salad. It actually gives the salad a very nice taste. We've also got some spekboom jam, we've got a spekboom chutney, and we've got a spekboom cheese sauce. And the lady who made these for us are busy baking us a spekboom cake. So we're very keen to taste the spekboom cake. These are very nice tasting products, and does contain a bit of sugar, like jams should. So, but it's very nice. It's also an acquired taste. Some people won't like it, but it's actually very nice. And eating the leaves are also, you know, at first you get the sour taste, and then it's got a lemony aftertaste. But we'll get you up here just now, and you can have a taste. So, like I said, you can use it in salads, you can use it in fruit juices, you can put it in smoothies. And last weekend, my sales rep was at another show where somebody actually used it in sorbet, in ice cream. And he says it was extremely nice. Okay, so today what I want to do is I want to transplant a spekboom into this pot and just show you how easy it is to do that. And I brought this pot along, a clay pot, and I like the earthy things, you know, I don't like plastic pots and so on. I will rather stick with clay. And this pot has got a very big hole in the bottom, and if I put the soil in here, it might fall through when we pick it up, because I'm not going to water it now. I will be giving this away as well. So I've just taken a piece of wood, or you can take a piece of bark or a stone, and we're just going to cover the hole slightly. It won't cover the hole completely, but we still need some drainage. So we're just going to put that in the middle of the pot. And then you must go to your nursery and get the Bark Unlimited organic succulent mix. And if they don't stock it, ask them to get it for you, because this is a very well balanced soil, especially for succulents and cacti and aloes. You can use the same soil for your cycads as well. We do have a cycad soil that's very similar to this. You can either use this or then the cycad mix for the cycads. But this contains some river sand for drainage, and it's got compost in it, and it's got some nice topsoil in it, and some composted bark. And like I said, it's a very well balanced soil. You don't need to add any fertilizer to it, because spekboom is a very low feeder, And you don't need to put stones in the bottom because there's already sand in the mix, so the mix will drain properly. You don't need to do anything to have better drainage. So once we've put down or filled the pot up to the level we require, we just press down on the soil slightly. Don't compress it too hard. A lot of people think the roots of a plant grows in the soil. It doesn't actually grow in the soil. It grows in the spaces between the soil. So if you compress the soil too hard, then the roots can't penetrate into the soil. So I've just checked the level of my Spekboom. We're going to mulch it with a bit of sand, so we're going to fill the pot to the brim. We're not going to leave any space for water, because once you water it, this water will go into the sand immediately. And we don't want to plant the Spekboom deeper than the original level of the soil in the bag, because then it will rot. So a lot of people, when they buy plants, they take a knife or some sharp object and they cut into the bag like that. And what happens when we cut into the bag like that? We damage the root systems. Right, and for the two lovely ladies here, there's a license disc sticker for each one of you. Thank you for your participation. So what we'll rather do is, instead of tearing into the bag, we'll just tear the bag off the plant. And in that manner we disturb the root system as little as possible. So we'll take the bag off, and you can see the nice yellow roots on the plant, which is an indication that this plant is very happy because of the yellow roots. If the roots are dark in color, it's normally a sign that the plant has been overwatered, or it might have dried out completely and the roots died. So we're just going to place this in the pot without actually we're not going to loosen the root system or anything. We'll just put it in the pot like that. And we're going to take some more of our succulent mix, and then we'll just fill up the gap between the plant and the pot. And again, we're going to press down on it lightly just to make sure that it's slightly compacted, because if you leave it completely loose and the moment you put water on it, it's going to sag, and then the pot is only going to be half full or not properly full, and then the plant won't grow as well as it would have. And it's very important, especially in South Africa, where we've got a very low rainfall, to mulch all our plants. And we've got different types of mulches. You'll see in all these display gardens, they've used our bark mulch. We've also got bark chips and bark nuggets. You'll see it in different, the smaller containers and so on. You can use a mulch to mulch the soil. And the reasons for that is, firstly, to aid the plant from not losing too much moisture. So we save on water. And then also to suppress weed seeds from germinating. So if a weed seed blows in and we've mulched the plant, the seed will go lie on top of the mulch, and the mulch normally dries out very quickly. So if it dries out, the seed won't have a good chance of germinating. But even if it does germinate, because the mulch is always loose, it's much easier taking out the weed. Some of the other benefits of mulching would be, in summer, the mulch acts like a blanket. In summer, it will keep the soil a lot cooler, and in winter it will keep the soil a little bit warmer. So if your day temperatures falls quickly, then the soil will retain its temperature for a longer time. So it's both good for summer and winter. So if anyone can tell me two benefits of mulching. Right. You're right, sir. This is yours.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Okay, remember to leave the plant in a fairly sunny position, right? It prefers not to get too harsh afternoon sun. So after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, if you can keep it from the very harsh sun. You can leave it in full sun. The leaves will tend to go a little bit yellow. It's not a problem. But if you can give it some shade after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it will remain nice and green. And you can water it about twice a week. So don't overwater it, because overwatering kills spekboom. So these plants are available. It's a very popular plant at the moment, and they are available in most retail nurseries. And if you can't find them, you can always give us a buzz. We've got a nursery where we stock at least 20,000 of these plants at any given time, from rooted cuttings to big plants like this. And you can also go to your garden center and get your succulent mix from them. An interesting fact is farmers can actually plant this as a fire break on their farms, because this plant doesn't burn because of the high water content in the leaves. So if you've got a 3 or a 4 meter stretch where you plant this, you can use it as animal feed for your sheep and your cattle, and then it also acts as a fire break. And if anyone wants to taste spekboom, you're welcome to come up. And I'll go first just to show you that it's not poisonous. And like I said, it's got a very sour taste to start off with. But if you chew it a little bit, afterwards you get that lemony aftertaste, and it's actually quite pleasant. You're also welcome to come and try the spekboom cheese sauce and the spekboom chutney. Just want to check which is which. This is the cheese sauce, that's the chutney, and this is the jam. So you're welcome to come up and come have a taste. And if you want, you can take a leaf off the spekboom and you can try that. It's a lot different from the jam. They're actually quite fast growers. That little one that I transplanted will be this size in about 4 to 5 months from now. So they're actually very quick to grow this big. Unfortunately, it's not a good indoors plant. They like to be outside. Indoors they will get very leggy, and you'll also find the leaves might get slightly bigger, and they're going to turn yellow in a few weeks' time. They don't like full shade. And also don't leave them in your windowsill where they get direct sun through the glass, because glass magnifies the sun's rays and then it burns the leaves. It's only this one variety that's edible. The other ones are not edible. There's one with slightly bigger leaves, which they use for medicinal purposes, but I don't have information on that specific species. This is the one that they use in the Spekboom challenge, and the challenge is just to plant as many spekboom as you can to help clean our air, to absorb the carbon dioxide and to produce oxygen. So if you want more information on any of our products, or want to watch more of my educational videos, I've got my own YouTube channel. It's called Bark Unlimited. So just go to YouTube, type in Bark Unlimited, it will take you to my channel. I've got almost 50 videos at this stage, and some of them are just product videos, so it will just be on specific products that we do, but others of them are gardening tips, where you can even learn how to harvest pollen from your cycad and pollinate the female plant, and lots and lots of videos on how to transplant certain plants and how easy it is to garden. You don't need green fingers, you just need good quality soil and the right container and the plants, and you need to know where to place those plants. You can use mulching on any plants. It all depends on what you prefer. For the cycads and any succulents, aloes, I like sand because it gives you that deserty effect. But then when you do clivias, for instance, you can either use our clivia mix and just put it on top between your clivias, because you don't want to dig it in and damage the roots of the clivias. So you're just going to layer it on top, and you can put down a layer as thick as 5 centimeters. With a mulch, you don't need to worry about mulching up the stem of a plant, because it's so porous. It won't retain a lot of water and it won't affect the plant. But soil, you must just always remember to plant the plant at the same level it was planted in the previous container, or even if you plant it out in your garden, don't bury it. Don't put the soil up to its neck. It only goes to where it was in the original container. But when you mulch, you can put a layer of mulch and go up against the stem. That doesn't matter. And we've got lots and lots of different mulches. We don't have everything here on display, but we've got macadamia nut shells, we've got peanut shells, I've got the bark mulch, which they've used in all these beds. I've got 3 different sizes of bark chips. I've got 2 different sizes of bark nuggets, which are smaller pieces. And then, yeah, we've got, I think there's even a few more peach pips. So we've got quite a big variety of mulches. Right. We're halfway between Pretoria and Cullinan on Kameelfontein. We do deliver, and then a lot of our products are available in a lot of the retail nurseries. We're currently negotiating with Leroy Merlin, and it looks like they're going to stock our stuff. And basically on a weekly basis, we get 1 or 2 more outlets in Pretoria and Joburg, and then we're in 7 provinces in South Africa at the moment. We're not in the Eastern Cape, we're not in the Western Cape, and then we're very prominent in Namibia. All our products are available in almost all the nurseries in Namibia. This you will be able to get from Lifestyle, from Garden World, yes, and then Linksfield Nursery, in Boksburg, Heckers. So there's quite a few that are already stocking it.
Refresh your garden with the Bark Unlimited range of top quality organic products. Bark Unlimited Organics. Refresh nature.